It was humiliating. "Can't you just let it go?" Scarlett's sharp voice cut through the silence of my office like a knife. Her words stabbed at the cracks already running through my heart. A single sheet of paper slipped from her hand and landed on my desk. It was proof of an abortion. The light caught her silver engagement ring as it hit the desk. For the 5th time, she demanded a divorce. But this time, I didn't beg. I didn't plead. I simply picked up the pen and signed my name with a calmness that even shocked me. 10 years. 10 years of marriage with Scarlett, tied up in an endless cycle of breaking up and reconciling. Every time her childhood sweetheart Blaine hinted at wanting a future, Scarlett would leave me without hesitation. And every time Blaine changed his mind, she'd come back, expecting me to take her in again. After our 4th remarriage, Scarlett got pregnant. I let myself hope that maybe, finally, we could build a life together. But when Blaine announced online that he had returned to find his soulmate, Scarlett didn't even hesitate. She ended the pregnancy. This 5th demand for divorce, thrown at me so carelessly, was the moment I woke up for real. My love for her, once endless, was gone. What was left was only cold emptiness. "Miss Vance, Mr. Thorne is in a meeting right now. You can't just go in like this." My assistant's panicked voice and the pounding on the conference room door snapped me back to reality. "Ethan, get out here right now." Scarlett's voice was filled with fury. The door rattled as she slammed it again and again. The branch managers in the room looked at each other, shocked and confused. With an apology, I stood up and opened the door. The moment I stepped out, her hand flew across my face. The slap echoed down the hall, and the sting spread across my cheek. Gasps filled the air. My young assistant lowered her head in embarrassment. Scarlett glared at me, her eyes blazing. "What's wrong with you, Ethan? How many times have I called? How many messages did I send? And you ignored all of them." I stayed quiet. I hadn't ignored her. I just knew what she wanted. She wanted me home to sign divorce papers. We'd been through the same scene 5 times before. Blaine had already been back for 2 weeks, and Scarlett hadn't spent a single night at home since. My friend sent me videos, and her own social media posts were a daily log of their romance. She posted 5, 6 updates a day, photos of them at amusement parks. Walking late at night, painting pottery, strolling through the city. Things I had once begged her to do with me, she refused every time. Yet with Blaine, she did them all, smiling like I'd never seen her smile for me. "This isn't the place," I finally said, tired. "Let's go to my office." Once inside, she tossed the divorce papers onto my desk. "Blaine proposed last night. Sign them already. Stop standing in the way of our happiness." She flashed her hand, showing me a silver ring. I recognized it instantly. It was the one she and Blaine had crafted years ago in a tiny jewelry shop. "What about our child?" My voice was barely a whisper. Just 2 days before Blaine came back, Scarlett had felt unwell. I took her for a checkup, and the doctor told us she was a month pregnant. I had been overjoyed, filled with hope. But deep down I knew what she was going to do, her face twisted with disgust. That it was a stain on my life. "Don't bring it up again." "What did you expect? That I'd carry your baby and then marry Blaine?" Of course, I got rid of it. Another slip of paper landed on my desk, the abortion confirmation. The procedure had been done 3 mornings ago. My body shook uncontrollably. I stumbled to the trash can, dry heaving until my throat burned. Through the haze, I caught her smug expression as she played with the ring on her finger. When I finally stood, I picked up the pen I'd signed with so many times before and put my name down one last time. The ease with which I did it seemed to throw her off. "You're not even going to ask questions? No begging? That's not like you." I nodded. "As you wish. I'll go back tonight to pack. My meeting is still going on. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving now." I turned to the door, but someone blocked me. "Ethan," a deep voice said. It was Mr. Vance, Scarlett's father, and the chairman of Sterling Holdings. "Scarlett is young. She doesn't understand what she's doing. How can you take this seriously? Divorce? I don't approve." "Father, are you insane?" Scarlett shot back instantly, her tone full of impatience. The company is doing great right now. Why ruin it? I'm just chasing my own happiness. What's so wrong about that? You know I never loved Ethan. He's just a loyal dog, obedient and pathetic. Do you even realize what he's done for Sterling Holdings? He's a fool who's brought in hundreds of millions in profit, but he still agreed to a tiny six-figure salary every year. That marriage certificate was only to tie him to us. And whatever Ethan can do, Blaine can do better. Blaine is a top university graduate. Divorce or not, Ethan will always be my dog. All I have to do is call, and he'll come crawling back. Mr. Vance nodded slowly. You're right. He's had it too easy these past few years. Maybe a lesson would keep him humble. But don't push him too far. Even a dog will bite if it's cornered. He led his daughter into my office, ready to scold her. But what they didn't know was that I had recently installed cameras and recording equipment in that very room. Every word they spoke. Every carefully aimed glance landed on me like a blow. His cold, calculating face and Scarlett's contemptuous eyes felt like fresh knives in my chest. I let out a hollow, bitter laugh at my own foolishness. She was right in her eyes. I was nothing but a pathetic dog, begging for love. But I wasn't going to play that part anymore. I'd already written my resignation and booked a flight to Germany for 3 days from now. Mr. Thorne, longtime associate, had offered me the CEO position at his company. Life was long. It was time I lived for myself. If I'd been free to chase my own path, I'd have gone to Germany to study years ago. Now, I would leave. I wanted to see how Sterling Holdings fared without its tireless workhorse. Around 9 that night, after a strained dinner with the department heads, I returned to the villa expecting quiet. Instead, the house hit me with the loud thump of a celebration. They were throwing a party, celebrating Scarlett and Blaine finally being together. Brooke, Scarlett's best friend, raised a glass of champagne and urged everyone to toast. Scarlett and Blaine, dressed like they'd planned their outfits together, stood in the center, locked in a possessive embrace. Blaine spotted me first and tightened his hold on her, a mocking smirk on his face. Conversation died down into whispers. Oh, Ethan's here too. Is he here to congratulate them? Don't be mean, Scarlett. Just dumped him again. He must be miserable. They've done this so many times. He's probably used to it. Scarlett heard them and turned to me. Annoyance clear. My staff already packed your things. They're in the study. Go and get them. Don't clutter the place. I nodded. Went upstairs, grabbed my luggage and came back down. Then I realized my mother's jade bracelet wasn't in any of my bags. That bracelet had been my mother's most precious possession, meant to be passed on to my wife. My mother, near the end of her fight with cancer, had insisted on fastening that bracelet onto Scarlett's wrist at our wedding. After previous breakups, I'd never asked for it back in my heart. I'd always thought Scarlett would be the only wife I'd ever have. Blaine sneered. You're pathetic, Ethan. Divorced and still asking for gifts back. What a joke. The room echoed with laughter and scorn. They looked at me like I was beneath them. Of course, Scarlett never took me seriously. How could this country boy compare to Blaine? I didn't argue. I just wanted to leave. But I stared at Scarlett anyway. She rolled her eyes, stomped upstairs, and returned with a small box. This bracelet is ugly. The jade's cheap. I don't want it. Only you and your stingy mother would call this a treasure, she spat. Blaine murmured something, and she laughed bright and loud, then froze for a moment before tossing the box toward me. You embarrassed me in front of my friends. Beg for it, Neil. Beg for it, Dor. You won't get it, she mocked. Blaine and the others leaned forward, hungry for the show. I thought of my mother. My hands unclenched. I lowered myself to my knees. Please, Miss Vance, give it back to me, I begged. The laughter exploded. Scarlett laughed until she cried with delight. Then, as if throwing away trash, she flung the bracelet at me. Get out, you worthless coward. I caught it and turned to leave, but Blaine hooked my ankle and tripped me. I stumbled. The bracelet slipped from my fingers and cracked against the marble in a harsh, sick sound. It split clean in two. Something inside me broke with it. I scooped up the pieces, wrapped them carefully, and tucked them into my luggage. They kept laughing. The anger inside me boiled over. I grabbed Blaine by the collar and slammed him to the floor, raining down blow after blow like I wanted to beat the life out of him. He cursed and fought back. The more he swore, the harder I hit. Nobody stepped in. People fell back in shock. Scarlett squealed and rushed forward, trying to pull me off, but I shook her off. In a frantic move, she grabbed a fruit knife from a nearby table and stabbed wildly at my arm. My white shirt soaked red. She kept slashing until her body suddenly went limp and she collapsed. Only then did I see the dark, spreading patch of blood staining the hem of her dress. My body moved before my mind could even process it. Gritting my teeth against the pain in my arm, I scooped Scarlett into my arms and ran to the hospital. In the hospital room, she lay pale and still on the bed, hooked up to drips for blood and nutrients. A stern young doctor asked who the patient's family was. Blaine was nowhere to be seen, so I reluctantly stepped forward and said it was me. Scarlett, maybe thinking I was trying to use the situation to my advantage, gave me a look of pure disgust. What kind of husband are you? Your wife just had an abortion, and instead of taking care of her, you let her stay up late drinking. She's lost so much blood her sugar drop. Do you want her to die? You young people are all the same, the doctor scolded harshly. I stayed quiet and looked at Scarlett. From my vest pocket, I pulled out 2 small candies and held them out. She glared at me at first, but when she saw the sweets, she turned her head away till reaching out to take them, popping them in her mouth. Her cheeks puffed up like a little rabbit's, stirring something deep inside me. When the doctor left, Blaine walked in with his head bandaged. He gave me a sideways glance, about to provoke me, but Scarlett called out sweetly, "Husband, I'm thirsty." Blaine flashed a triumphant smile and shook a can of soda. I anticipated it. "Got it right here," he said. Scarlett smiled happily, then turned back to me, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "You hurt Blaine. We were going to call the police, but for Sterling Holdings' image, won't. Pay him $10,000 and we'll consider it settled." I lowered my head, my voice quiet. "He broke my bracelet first. You know how important it was to me." Scarlett cut me off, impatient. "Important? That piece of junk wouldn't even fetch $100 at the market. I know you don't have the money. So I'll have the finance department deduct it from your salary for the next 10 years and transfer it directly to Blaine." She didn't even look at me again, turning to Blaine instead and asking him playfully for the drink. To my surprise, Blaine pulled an iced coffee from a paper bag. Even from 3 meters away, I could feel the cold. Scarlett's eyes widened. "Husband, I'm recovering. I can't drink this. I should be having ginger tea with red sugar," she murmured. Blaine frowned and lectured her. "Seriously? In the West, women drink iced water after childbirth. Be good, drink this. You'll be fine." Finally, I couldn't hold back a laugh. Scarlett snapped, grabbed the iced coffee, and hurled it at me. "What are you laughing at? You could brew me ginger tea for the rest of your life, and it wouldn't compare to 1 strand of Blaine's hair. I'd rather eat plain rice and vegetables with Blaine than live in luxury with you. Even 10 years with him would be 1,000 times better than 100 years with you. Do you know why? Because he's the only one I've ever loved from start to finish. You're nothing but a clown." After she finished, Blaine's smug expression widened. He added with malicious satisfaction, "That's right. Scarlett even said sleeping with you for years was nothing compared to a few nights with me." I gave Scarlett a cold, empty look. I'd lost every last shred of hope. I turned to leave, but her voice followed me. "Our engagement party is in a week. I'll send you an email invitation. Make sure you come and see how happy I am." That night, I boarded a flight to Germany, the place that had once caused me so much pain and disgust. I didn't want to stay a minute longer. When the plane landed in Berlin, the clear sky felt like it was washing my soul clean. Mr. Thorne personally met me at the airport. He'd already arranged my accommodation and everything else. Over our very first dinner, my new position was confirmed with a salary 50 times what I'd earned at Sterling Holdings. I would officially start in a week, lying on the large hotel bed. I opened my phone to see countless messages from Scarlett. Ethan, you're absolutely despicable. If Blaine's face isn't healed by the engagement day, I'll never forgive you. Come kneel and apologize to him immediately, or I'll tell my father to make sure you don't get a single penny from Sterling Holdings for the next 20 years. How dare you not reply to my messages? Have you blocked me, or are you dead? You'll regret this. Without hesitation, I deleted every message and blocked her, Mr. Vance, and even her friends like Brooke. From now on, I refuse to be humiliated by them. A few former assistants and partners also messaged frantically they had gotten my resignation letter. Mr. Vance was furious, posting rants about my ingratitude and threatening to blacklist me from the entire industry if I didn't return and apologize. In just one day, Sterling Holdings had lost 2 major contracts with Apex Solutions and Horizon Incorporated, losing millions. But I felt nothing. For 10 years at Sterling Holdings, I'd given nearly half my life. Every deal I closed was clean and efficient, leaving no room for anyone to undermine me. Before leaving, I'd even provided recommendation letters for my team of assistants. If they wanted to resign, the connections and reputation I'd built would help them find better positions. I owed no one anything. After a full night of sleep, I was preparing for breakfast when a call came from an unfamiliar number. Out of habit, I answered. Blaine's mocking voice came through. My friend, are you really giving up this time? Or is this just a retreat to advance? I heard you blocked all of Scarlett's calls. Surprising, isn't it? She was crying with rage. But it's true, when a loyal dog suddenly stops licking, anyone would find it odd. I chuckled at his foolishness. How does this concern you? Don't be mad, old friend, Blaine laughed. Honestly, I never had any real grudge against you. But stepping on you feels good, I admit. I called just to tell you one thing. I'm not stringing Scarlett along anymore. The game's over. I want a peaceful life now. Mr. Vance has decided to appoint me as the successor. CEO, your entire career, and your woman, they're all mine now. You were always destined to be a loser, and I'm the ultimate winner. Blaine's voice on the phone oozed arrogance, full of smug delight. Sitting back and enjoying the fruits of others' labor, with just a flick of my finger, a single smile. I can destroy everything you've worked for your entire life. He laughed loudly, clearly expecting me to break down at his words. Blaine, who are you talking to? You sound so happy. Scarlett's voice suddenly cut in, clearly just entering the room. Whether Blaine reacted too slowly or intentionally, he left the call active. Nothing. Just catching up with an old friend about trivial things. Didn't you just go rest? Why are you up? Oh, I just keep thinking about the engagement party in a few days. I'm too excited to sleep. You don't know how long I've waited for this day? There. I'll always be by your side from now on. You won't have to wait or be sad ever again. I really hope Ethan comes that day. Then we can show off our sweet affection right in front of him. Make him green with envy, bringing him up now. How unlucky, Blaine muttered, annoyed. I didn't bother listening further. Calmly, I hung up. My assistant had already told me their engagement party would be held at the city's largest hotel. After 10 years of being their laughingstock, how could I not prepare a special congratulatory gift? The week passed quickly, and the engagement party arrived. Sterling Holdings was still suffering losses under the new CEO, but even a starved camel is bigger than a horse. Many wealthy entrepreneurs and prominent figures still showed up. Mr. Vance, following his assistant's advice, decided to live stream the event to boost Sterling Holdings' image. Under admiring gazes, Scarlett appeared in a luxurious wedding gown, holding Blaine's arm. Even heavy makeup couldn't cover her pale face or her unsteady state. Her complexion was shallow, her eyes constantly drifting toward the guest tables as if searching for someone. The MC had to call her name 3 times before she responded. Blaine, his bruises carefully hidden, snapped his fingers at an assistant. The large screen lit up, playing a video of their so-called love story. He had supposedly spent a month creating it, 30 years of life. Over 6,000 photos edited into 10 sentimental minutes. Many female guests teared up, dabbing their eyes with tissues. Scarlett laughed and cried at once. So moved she tiptoed to hug Blaine. Thunderous applause erupted. But then the screen cut out. For a few seconds, it went black. Then the audio of a familiar conversation echoed through the hall. The Vance women questioning Scarlett about wanting a divorce. The crowd erupted in murmurs. Suspicion rippled across the hall. Mr. Vance's face went ashen. "What's going on?" "Cut the video now," he barked. But no one obeyed. Next came the recording of Blaine's private words to me. "Your entire career, your woman, they're all mine now. You were born a loser, and I'm the ultimate winner. All I need is a flick of my finger to destroy your life's work." The recording continued with Blaine bragging to his friends. "It only cost me $5,000, and she betrayed her partner at my command. Do I love Scarlett? Not in this life or the next. If it weren't for Mr. Vance and my mother scheming, my parents wouldn't have divorced. I wouldn't have been tossed around like garbage. Scarlett, she's pathetic." I frowned, and she immediately ran for an abortion. She even promised to obey me completely. Haha. Tell me, how is she different from a dog? Of course she'd choose a person, not money. After marriage, I have countless ways to ruin her life completely. The hall exploded in chaos. Guests whispered loudly. Clients stormed out in anger, swearing never to work with Sterling Holdings again. Mr. Vance lost control, grabbing the hotel manager's collar, screaming for the broadcast to stop, but nothing helped. On stage, Scarlett slapped Blaine hard across the face, then clutched her stomach and collapsed. Blaine, red with rage, grabbed a chair and smashed it against the screen. "Ethan, you despicable worm! I'll never forgive you," he roared. But the show wasn't finished. The grand doors burst open. Over a dozen young women, escorted by security, walked in. The moment Blaine saw them, his face drained of color. He tried to escape, but security blocked him. The women strode to the stage, holding hands, eyes burning with anger. One by one, they exposed his despicable acts. My assistant projected a detailed PowerPoint on the big screen, over 100 pages long, filled with names, dates, and hard evidence. Every one of them was a former girlfriend of Blaine, both domestic and abroad. He had cheated them all, pretending to be a struggling entrepreneur with a deadly illness, defrauding them of tens of millions. He wasn't just a serial philanderer, he destroyed lives. Some women had fallen into depression. Some had even attempted to take their own lives. And worst of all, many still thought they weren't good enough, clinging to the lies it fed them. Blaine had indeed been a master of dirty tricks. These women decided to unite and sue Blaine, determined to make him pay for his crimes. The guests in the hall listened in stunned silence. Then, led by a father whose daughter had been one of Blaine's victims, the crowd erupted, hurling objects at Blaine and forcing him to scramble for cover. Within minutes, the event shot to the top of social media trends. What was meant to be a glamorous engagement party had turned into a public trial, completely exposing Blaine and the Vance family. Across the ocean, I sat in front of my computer, watching every detail unfold. My eyes unconsciously searched for Scarlett. Her hair was messy, makeup ruined by tears. As she huddled in a corner, whispering over and over, "Ethan, I'm sorry." The so-called friends who had once clung to her were now busy watching the spectacle. Not a single one stepping forward to comfort her. I thought I might feel pain seeing her like this, but inside, I was calm. Still, I messaged my assistant, instructing him to take Scarlett to the hospital, and even transferred $3,000 to his account in advance from the salary Mr. Thorne had arranged. I didn't do it out of love, but to cut off the very last tie between us. When I was 21, I joined Sterling Holdings full of hope. Not long after, my father died in a car accident, and my mother was diagnosed with cancer. The medicine she needed was foreign and unbearably expensive. My family fell into ruin almost overnight. In despair, I once collapsed in tears in the garden below the office. Scarlett, passing by, scolded me for being weak and told me a man should have a backbone. Then she loaned me $30,000, pulling me through that desperate time and encouraged me to work hard. From then on, I threw myself into the company, earning millions. and hundreds of millions for Sterling Holdings. I had only two goals: to prolong my mother's life and to draw closer to Scarlett, step by step. I knew deep down she had only agreed to date me, to marry me, because she wanted to spite Blaine, and later because she wanted to bind me to Sterling Holdings. But I let myself be trapped. Every time she abandoned me to chase after Blaine, I felt like I would die from the pain. Every time we remarried, I wept with joy, convinced that if I loved her more, treated her better, she would finally stay. But I wasn't a machine. I had emotions too. Every insult, every betrayal, every time she trampled my heart, Ty bled inside. Yet she never once saw me as a human being. More than 10 years of this was enough. Today I wanted to end it all myself. Not even an hour later, my phone rang. It was my assistant's number, but Scarlett's voice spoke on the other end. My assistant quickly explained, panicked. "Mr. Thorne, I had no choice." Miss Vance held a fruit knife to her wrist, saying she would cut herself unless I let her call you. I thought she was calling to scream at me, to blame me, to curse me for ruining her engagement. Instead, her voice was weary and fragile. "Ethan, where are you?" "I'm home from the hospital. My favorite socks and my black jacket. They're not in the closet anymore. You packed them, didn't you? My stomach hurts so much. I miss your ginger tea. Your beef stew." I stayed silent. Her voice softened, tinged with grief. "Ethan, I know I was wrong. Can you forgive me one more time? I promise. If we start over, I'll treat you well." "Scarlett," I cut her off. "There's no future for us." Her tone immediately grew frantic. "You once said no matter what, you'd always love me, always wait for me. I know I was wrong when I packed my things. I found candies you had secretly slipped into my handbags, my jackets. No one has ever cared for me like that. I can't live without you. I even went to your office. Your drawer was full of my photos." Liam said, "Whenever you were exhausted, just looking at those pictures would make you smile like the happiest man alive. You can't have forgotten me." I gave a faint laugh. "No one is indispensable. From now on, I only want to live for myself. Our paths are different. Let's not contact each other again." She broke down, her words tumbling out. "Is it because of the baby? We can have another. Believe me, just tell me where you are. I'll come find you. If we just meet, you'll change your mind." I ended the call without hesitation. Then I removed the SIM card and threw it away. In that moment, I knew I had given Scarlett everything I could. There was nothing left to regret. From then on, I poured myself entirely into work. Compared to my life back home, life here was a paradise. More holidays, fewer obligations. I read books, traveled, exercised. Slowly, my body and spirit grew healthier, brighter, more alive, of course. I still kept an eye on the news, which meant I couldn't avoid hearing about my old life. Sterling Holdings, after 30 years, declared bankruptcy. Mr. Vance and Scarlett fought bitterly over assets. Their relationship shattered. Blaine was sentenced to 10 years in prison for fraud, but none of it mattered to me anymore. I read the headlines, then set them aside without a thought. A year later, I entered a new chapter. I met Ayla at a hiking club, a German PhD in engineering, with dimples that appeared every time she smiled. To me, she was everything. Intelligent, confident, radiant, like a small sun that drew people in. I had thought I had lost the ability to love. But standing beside Ayla, my heart pounded like a young man's again, filled with passion. After she graduated, she chose to stay in Berlin for work. We moved in together, spending every day in simple, sweet happiness. All the things I once only dreamed of slowly became my reality. We'd adopted a dog and 2 cats. Every holiday we traveled, ate together, played together, learned together, and grew together. For the first time, I was able to completely let go of the past. It felt like fate had finally balanced the scales for me. I just never expected Scarlett to find me again. That day, Alla had caught a cold and was resting at home. I took the dog out for a walk and stopped to buy her a hot chocolate on my way back. As I got closer to our door, I noticed someone leaning against the street lamp. At first I thought I was mistaken, but when I looked again, I recognized her. Scarlett. She looked thinner than she had 2 years ago, her hair cut short. The moment she saw me, she called my name and rushed toward me, trying to hug me. I quickly stepped back, nearly spilling the hot chocolate. Our dog barked nonstop, clearly unsettled by this unexpected guest. "I'm sorry," I said, calling her by her last name. "Miss Vance, why are you here?" Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Ethan, I've been looking for you for 2 years. I finally found you. I was just about to knock when you appeared. I've missed you so much." Her voice trembled. I frowned. "Did you hire someone to investigate me? Do you realize how insulting that is?" Scarlett's eyes darted nervously. She stared at me for a long moment before answering softly, "Ethan, haven't you heard the saying? Once a husband and wife, always a bond. It's been 2 years. Please forgive me." She tried to step closer, reaching for my hand. This time, I immediately backed away, putting more than 10 feet between us. "Miss Vance," said firmly, "whatever happened between us is over. Please move on and stop disrupting my life." Her face went pale, as though she couldn't believe how resolute I'd become. "Ethan, I really can't live without you. I used the money you sent to open an art gallery. I've tried to live well, but without you, everything feels empty. Please, give me another chance. Can we start over?" Just then, our front door opened. Ala stepped out. Our dog barked happily and ran to her. She walked toward me, took the hot chocolate from my hand, and smiled. "I knew you'd get me this." She was only wearing a thin nightgown, so I immediately took off my jacket and draped it over her shoulders. After taking a sip of the hot chocolate, she looked toward Scarlett and smiled politely. "Is everything all right? Did you meet someone you know?" she asked. I nodded. "This is my ex-wife, Scarlett Vance. Before Ayla and I became a couple, we had been honest about our past relationships. I knew she wouldn't be shaken by Scarlett's presence. As expected, she extended her hand warmly to Scarlett. "Hello, Miss Vance, it's quite windy out here. Would you like to come in for a while? I just baked some butter cookies." From the moment Ayla appeared, Scarlett's eyes had been filled with resentment. When she noticed the jade bracelet on Ayla's wrist, her expression turned sharp and bitter. "How could you give her that bracelet?" she snapped, her voice rising. "You once said I was the only one who would ever wear it. Ethan, it's only been 2 years since our divorce, and you already have a new girlfriend living with her. Have you no shame? Didn't you promise you'd love me your whole life? You liar." I gave a small, dry laugh. In my eyes, Scarlett had always been strangely self-assured. Maybe my blind devotion had made her forget to look at reality. "Ayla and I had that bracelet repaired together," I said evenly. "She loves it, and she wears it with respect. She loves me, and she respects my family. Only after meeting her did I understand what a healthy relationship truly is. No matter how painful the past was, I no longer cling to it. Miss Vance, you have no right, no standing to question me. Please spare yourself further humiliation." With that, I turned away. I took Ayla's hand and walked back into our home. The next morning, Ayla's cold had improved. We slept in, then dropped off our pets with a friend, packed our bags, and got ready for our trip to Northern Europe. Unexpectedly, Scarlett appeared again, standing in front of our car, crying and begging me for another chance. She threatened to harm herself right outside our door if I didn't give in. But this time, I wasn't swayed. I called the police immediately. Once everything was handled, we left without looking back. In the car, Ala sat in the passenger seat, humming softly and swaying to the music. My heart swelled with happiness. She didn't know it yet, but I was planning to propose to her under the northern lights. For the rest of my life, there are 2 things I will never give up: loving her and loving myself.